Hey guys, what's going on? It's Filmington. In this video, we're going to talk about what I believe are the top factors that affect resale value for the different grading companies. So, specifically, the graded cards in those holders. The reason for high resale value is high resale value. I learned that from Northwest Ohio watching his YouTube the other day. Alfeo, I don't think that's what he meant. That's sort of like circular logic. Pizza tastes the best because it tastes good. I don't know, that's what he said. Fine, these are factors that affect long term resale value. I think in the long term, you do see some movement of the resale values of those different companies relative to one another. Go back 6, 7 years, Beckett was just as expensive, if not more, than PSA in similar grades. And I think these factors are consumer preferences, number one, that's the biggest one, as well as credibility and liquidity. So, first of all, let's dive into the first one. So, consumer preferences, you've got to look at the product that the customer gets in their hand, as well as the overall service that's provided by the company. So, from a product perspective, it's the slab. So, not just the holder, but also the flip, the quality, the aesthetics of the holder, the rigidity of maybe of the plastic. How well can you see the card? How well does the card present? Specifically with the label, looking at things like security features, and that pertains to the holder as well. Going back to the label, the QR code. Again, a lot of this just comes back to perceived quality and perceived aesthetics, just consumer preferences, right? So, there could be some advantages based on the preferred size and weight of the slab. That could vary based on preferences, but it all depends on what do most people want, right? Also, does the slab kind of fit in nicely with the person's current collection? And maybe this is a reason why resale value tends to be kind of sticky versus something that changes very frequently. From a customer service perspective, you're looking at the total end-to-end experience. So, place where PSA certainly failed in the past and recently, based on what a lot of people think. But this also includes turnaround times. This includes things like the website, the pop report, the registry would be in play here, as well as the app if one exists and the functionality of that app. Number two factor is going to be credibility. So think of this as like the public or the hobbyists' confidence in the grading company's ability to assign a numerical grade that is not just accurate, but also consistent with the grading guidelines of the company. So, based on whatever's on their website, does it kind of line up with that? Do these grades match up with what's expected? Is this consistent? Or is their grading process consistently applied over time? I think the consistency and the accuracy matters more than how strict they are, because there could be pluses and minuses with regards to that from a consumer perspective. So also with credibility, you're looking at the hobbyist's confidence in the grading company's ability to detect counterfeited cards or trimmed cards, any sort of alterations. Do they know the difference between an authentic card and one that is inauthentic or one that was sort of messed with? Now, another part of credibility has to do with the expertise of that grading company. So it's how long have these graders been doing this, and how long have these graders been doing this in this particular segment? So vintage, TCG, different sports maybe. There could be certain grading companies that have a higher edge here, like Bowman Chrome. It's one of the reasons why Beckett, I think, does a little bit better than they normally would. Well, than they would with like a Topps Chrome. It's because they have a lot of Bowman Chrome cards in their slabs. They've been doing it for a long time. It has to do with the talent level. It has to do with the number of years experience of those different companies for all those different segments. Again, you could look at like vintage versus modern, pre-war, or even like pre-1990 stuff. You don't see Beckett resale doing too well, but they also don't have a lot of that stuff in their holders. With vintage BVG, Beckett, often you see like Beckett sell for 1.5 to like 2 grades, sort of less. So like a BBG 4 to 4.5 might sell for similar to like a PSA 2.5 or 3. You look at SGC, in some cases A similar card could sell for close to the same in the same grade versus PSA. Usually PSA will beat it out, all else equal, but a lot of it has to do with eye appeal as well. Also, part of credibility has to do with the reputation of the company. How long have they been around? What's the history of this company? What's the size of the company? What's the strength or perceived strength of that company? If they're not public, you might not know, but you can kind of make a guess. What's the likelihood that this company and this brand will be around for the long term? So, not just being around, but also in their current form. Like, what are the chances that HGA is going to be around 15, 20 years from now in that same brand and have not either dissolved as a company or been acquired, really? That all goes back to credibility, that's sort of like longevity risk. The third factor, in my opinion, is market share or liquidity. It's really liquidity, but it kind of goes hand in hand with market share. So, like, how prevalent are these cards in at card shows, at card shops? How prevalent are they on the different auction websites or selling platforms? How prevalent are they on the different social media sites? It ultimately comes down to more sales data, more established sales data for that card or for similar cards, so you can know what to expect if you're a buyer and seller for that transaction price. Your expected price for that transaction, whether you're buying or selling, is going to be very close to the actual price. So you have a better idea of what it's worth. Other people have a better idea of what it's worth. Another way to look at this is if someone is to buy a card in a slab that's liquid, they know that 5-10 years down the line, they have confidence that there will be a buyer at the end of the line for that card. They know it won't be that difficult to sell it, and they know that it'll be easy to come to an agreement with the new buyer on some sort of transaction price that's fair. And again, part of this is aided by there being a lot of data with regards to previously sold items for the exact card or maybe something very similar. I don't know, man. I think I can poke some holes in this Filmington. First of all, I don't agree with number 3, liquidity. I don't think you need market share. Look at Tag. Tag's the future. I've heard they're an industry disruptor, and they're going to take over. They don't need market share, Filmington. It's going to be all based on, well, the first thing you said, consumer preferences. That's part of it. So superior slab thing looks beautiful. They got this report card thing. So the product service is going to be better than all the other graders. And then, they've got this whole thing with automated grading. If it's true, if it's really a more sophisticated and accurate process, could be a perfect process, Filmington. So the staff's grading experience, the history of the company, it's all moot because you're going to get a more accurate grade this way and it's going to be consistent like all those other things you said. I don't know. I don't see it. Beckett's BGS Black Label Pristine grade has outperformed PSA with resale value over the last 5 or 6 years. The Black Label used to sell for 4 times the PSA 10. Now it sells for 20 times or even 30 times the PSA 10 in some cases. So again, liquidity isn't necessary to have the highest resale value. I mean, yeah, that's different. It's valuable because it's the highest condition card you can have, which is also why it's rare.